Hey, this is Carrie with a quick little honest video review of the InflateR. This is a portable inflating tool that you can use for basically anything that holds air, apparently. That's things like bikes and car tires and footballs and, river floaties, literally anything that holds air. This is supposed to be able to do that, so I'm very excited to be testing this out. I haven't opened it yet, so I'm going to be unboxing it, demoing it, and then letting you know my final thoughts at the end of this video. So here we go. All right, so the actual inflating pump is really small. This is it, literally like almost fits in the palm of your hand. And I've tested other ones that are about this size. I have not seen one that is quite this small. And I also haven't seen one that is this shape. And I think that the shape of this is a lot easier to like hold in a backpack or even in like the glove box of your car. And so the discreet small shape is really cool. And it's also not that heavy, especially for the fact that it has a portable power bank built into it. So I think that the weight of it is good as well, especially if you're going to take this like on a mountain biking trip in case you needed to refill your tires or something like that. Again, I think that the portability is definitely on par. It comes with a variety of different adaptive, is that what they're called? Adapters. So you can, like I mentioned, use it for a variety of different pumping tools. And it also has a micro USB charging cable, which charges on the end over here. And then it also has, I don't know what this is called, DC? No. Yeah, a DC power, so you could actually power it through your car as well. And I like to think of these things in terms of like an emergency situation. So if for some reason I had this charged, but when I actually needed it in case of an emergency, it didn't have that power, then I could charge it with my car instead, and vice versa. Having more than one option, definitely good for emergencies. And then lastly, it has this pretty nice little carrying case where everything, I assume, fits inside. Let's check that. And it does. So I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and keep this little plastic bag for the smaller items just so I don't accidentally lose them. Actually, I just noticed that this is so smart, and I'm surprised I didn't see this a second ago. There's actually a tiny little Velcro pocket inside, which is designed for these little pieces that I was just worried about losing. So I take it back. I don't need the plastic thing anymore because they've got it figured out. So nicely done. So I'm going to be testing this out. Like I mentioned, my husband's truck tires are very low. We haven't been driving his truck during the quarantine over the past 2 months now, and so his tires definitely need a little bit of love, and I'm going to be using the InflateR to fill them up. So let's get to that. All right, we're back. I just finished filling up the tires on my husband's old pickup. And as I mentioned, I knew that they were super flat. One of the cool things about this, which I'm sure is pretty standard, but just to mention, is that it shows you what the current PSI is when you start on the little LED screen. And in general, the screen is really helpful and clear and easy to see what's going on. And so I knew that before when I started, the tire was at 23 PSI. It was rated maximum 35, so I set it to 33 on here, which is really easy to do. You just set your ideal pressure and then you click start and it just goes. And so it worked like a charm. It went from 23 PSI to 33 where I set it, and then it automatically turned off. That was great. The only thing that doesn't work is the battery died before I could even get through my second tire. So if you're planning on using this for a bike or basketballs or, like I mentioned, like rafts and stuff, I'm sure this would be fine. I'm sure that the battery would make it. But by the time that I got through one tire, my battery level was already on its last leg and it didn't make it through the second one. And so that is a massive bummer, especially if you're treating this like some kind of an emergency. I want to make sure that I have enough juice in my inflating pump in order to get through all of my tires. Otherwise, kind of what's the point? And just for reference, it mentions in the sheet that it can do a full tire in about 8 to 12 minutes, and between 23 psi to 33 psi, it took, what's the math? It took 8 minutes. So it took 8 minutes to go through those 10 psi, again, just for that one tire. There is a little flashlight installed in the top of it, which can be helpful. It's not very bright, so I definitely would not rely on it in being pitch black darkness or an emergency light situation, but it does add a little bit of extra light. And like I mentioned, you can use the car's power as a power source for this, but in my case, I wanted to see, in terms of it being its own portable standalone, how long it would go for. And in case of emergency, again, if I didn't have access to a car battery, how much power would this give me? And unfortunately, that is where it just didn't live up to the test, and I wouldn't feel comfortable relying on this to fully be reliable to repump up my car's tires. The last little thing to note, it does mention this in the directions. This part right here gets hot when you finish using it. The whole body of it is definitely warm after I've pumped up 1.5 tires, but this is hot to the touch. So it is just a little bit unfortunate as well that I can't disassemble it and put it away until I wait for this to heat or to cool all the way down. So again, just I wish that it was insulated or something. I'm not sure how they would get around it, but it is too bad that it is really hot to the touch on top and I can't put it away back in the case. And just one more note for the charging standpoint, which again is just my one big bummer concern of why I really can't recommend this product. I really do like that there is a little LED light on the bottom that tells you when it's fully charged. So at the very least, I knew that I was going into it with a fully powered battery, and that's why I'm extra bummed knowing that it was fully charged, that it didn't live up to that in terms of how long it was able to power up and pump my tires. So again, this is the InflateR inflating pumper system. I do like a lot of things about it, and again, if you're not relying on this to pump up car tires, potentially something that doesn't need to be turned on for so long or put out that much power, it probably will work fine for you. But as a emergency backup car tire pumping system, I just really can't recommend it, so that's really unfortunate. But again, as always, I want to give an honest, unbiased opinion after my real life experience, and so at the very least, I recommend that you check it out for yourself.